They had the looks, the power, but no fame. 10 classics, born legends, forgotten by history.
It was June 14th, 1968. The world was in love with speed. The Mustang ruled America's streets, and every kid dreamed of chrome, horsepower, and Hollywood glory. But in the shadows of that golden era, there were others. Cars with soul, courage, and brilliance, yet no spotlight. Machines that were born too early or too different to ever stand center stage. Today, we open the garage door of forgotten history and bring those unsung heroes back to life. These are the hidden gems. 10 classic cars that never got the spotlight, but always deserved it. Number 1. 1968, AMC Javelin. In 1968, when the streets echoed with the roar of Mustangs and Camaros, one name dared to challenge Detroit's dominance, the AMC Javelin. Born from a company far smaller than Ford, Chevrolet, or Chrysler, this car was never supposed to make headlines. Yet, what it lacked in fame, it made up for in fearless ambition. American Motors Corporation knew they were fighting giants. Their budgets were thin, their factories modest, but their dream was bold. The Javelin arrived with sleek fastback styling, muscular proportions, and an aggressive stance that screamed rebellion. Beneath the hood, it offered a range of V8 engines, topping out with a thunderous 390 cubic inch powerhouse that could leave even a Mustang looking nervous at the stoplight. But what truly made the Javelin special wasn't just power, it was attitude. It represented the outsider's spirit, a car for those who refused to follow the crowd. While Ford and Chevy spent millions polishing their images, AMC relied on raw passion and racing grit. The Javelin stormed the Trans Am circuit, going wheel to wheel with legends, earning victories that history barely remembers. Yet, despite its achievements, fame never followed. Overshadowed by its bigger rivals, the Javelin became a footnote instead of a headline. But today, among collectors and purists, it's no longer forgotten. It's respected. Because in a world ruled by giants, the Javelin proved that even the smallest voice can roar loud enough to echo through time. Number 2. 1971. Saab 99 Turbo. In 1971, while the world obsessed over V8 engines and quarter-mile times, a small Swedish automaker quietly prepared to change automotive history. It wasn't Detroit, it wasn't Italy, it was Saab, a company born from aircraft engineering, thinking far above the clouds of convention. Their creation, the Saab 99 Turbo, would ignite a technological revolution, even if the world barely noticed at first. The idea was radical. Take a small, efficient four-cylinder engine and give it the power of a much larger one using turbocharging. At a time when turbo was a term reserved for race cars and exotic prototypes, Saab dared to bring it to the streets. The result was stunning, a 2.0-liter engine that could deliver the kind of torque and thrill drivers never expected from a compact European sedan. It wasn't loud, it wasn't glamorous, but it was brilliant. The 99 Turbo wasn't built to impress at car shows. It was built to outthink its rivals. Its design was boxy yet aerodynamic. Its cockpit functional, wrapped around the driver like the cabin of a fighter jet. And when that turbo spooled up, it felt like a jolt of Scandinavian electricity, refined, efficient, and utterly unique. But the timing wasn't perfect. The car world, still addicted to cubic inches, didn't understand this quiet genius. Sales were modest, praise limited, yet Seng had already lit the fuse. The 99 Turbo proved that performance didn't need brute force. It could come through innovation. Today, every turbocharged engine, from family sedans to supercars, carries a bit of Saab's DNA. The 99 Turbo may not have been a headline act, but it was the engineer's masterpiece, the silent spark that reshaped the modern automotive world. Number 3. 1970, Opel GT. 1970. The world was in love with curves. The Stingray proud America, Ferraris ruled Europe, and posters of dream machines filled every teenager's wall. Yet hidden in the heart of Germany, far from the noise of Detroit and Maranello, Opel quietly crafted something extraordinary, the Opel GT. A car so graceful, so daring, it earned the nickname, the Baby Corvette. At first glance, the resemblance was undeniable. The long hood, the short rear deck, the flowing fenders. But beneath its sculpted body lay a very different soul. The GT wasn't about raw power, it was about balance, finesse, and engineering precision. Its 1.9-liter inline-4 engine may not have shattered records, but the way it delivered its power, smooth, responsive, and perfectly matched to its lightweight chassis, made it a driver's delight. Every detail reflected craftsmanship. The pop-up headlights rotated horizontally, like eyelids waking from a dream. The cabin was tight, purposeful, a cocoon for the true enthusiast. And on twisting mountain roads, the GT came alive, gliding with an elegance that few American muscle cars could match. But fate wasn't kind. Opel was owned by General Motors, and despite the GT's beauty, it was never given the global spotlight it deserved. The marketing was limited, the export numbers small, and the oil crisis soon loomed on the horizon. While its American cousin, the Corvette, became a cultural icon, the GT quietly slipped into obscurity. Yet for those who know, the Opel GT remains one of the most beautiful forgotten sports cars of its time, a machine that captured the soul of a Corvette in a more refined European form. It didn't need fame to be great. It only needed a winding road and a driver who could hear its whisper, "I was built to be remembered." Number 4. 1967, Plymouth Barracuda. Before the word Cuda became a symbol of raw power and drag strip dominance, there was another Barracuda, quieter, humbler, but every bit as daring. In 1967, Plymouth introduced the second-generation Barracuda, a car that arrived not as a shadow of the Mustang, but as a true competitor, sleek, muscular, and unmistakably confident. Yet history would forget this version, buried beneath the fame of its later, more aggressive sibling. The '67 Barracuda was built on Chrysler's A-body platform, giving it the agility that muscle cars often sacrificed for brute strength. Its fastback design, dominated by that massive wraparound rear glass, was both bold and futuristic, a styling feature that turned heads in an era obsessed with chrome and fins. Beneath the hood, buyers could choose from humble 6-cylinders to the potent 383 cubic inch V8, giving the car serious bite when provoked. But timing is everything, and in the mid-60s, the Mustang had already captured America's imagination. Plymouth's masterpiece arrived to a stage already crowded with applause for someone else. The Barracuda had the looks, the performance, even racing credibility, yet it couldn't shake off its Me Too label. Still, the 1967 Barracuda represented something pure, the moment before the muscle car wars turned wild. It balanced power with grace, performance with design ambition. While the later Cuda became a legend of noise and horsepower, the early Barracuda was an artist's sketch, the foundation of a masterpiece that never got credit for its brushstrokes. Today, collectors see it differently. They see the forgotten beauty beneath the fame. The 1967 Barracuda wasn't just a car, it was the birth of a legend, the first heartbeat of what muscle cars would soon become. Number 5, 1959 Studebaker Lark. By 1959, America's car scene had gone wild, chrome stretched like jewelry across endless hoods, tail fins reached for the sky, and every new model seemed bigger than the last. But deep inside a struggling Indiana factory, one company saw the storm coming. Studebaker, one of America's oldest automakers, knew it couldn't outspend Detroit. So instead, it did something radical. It went smaller. The result was the 1959 Studebaker Lark, a compact car designed to save a dying brand. The Lark was everything the late 50s weren't supposed to be: short, simple, and efficient. It had clean lines, a practical body, and an interior that favored comfort over flair. Under the hood, buyers could choose between a thrifty 6-cylinder or a surprisingly strong 259 cubic inch V8, a powerful heart for such a small frame. It wasn't a sports car, but it was spirited, light, responsive, and unpretentious. And against all odds, the Lark worked, at least for a while. In its first year, sales soared. Middle-class Americans loved its size, and the press praised its clever design. For a brief moment, it looked like Studebaker had beaten the giants at their own game, but success can be cruelly short-lived. Within a few years, Detroit answered back with its own compacts, the Falcon, the Corvair, the Valiant, flooding the market and drowning the little Lark's momentum. By the mid-60s, Studebaker was gone, but the Lark's legacy endures as a symbol of courage and innovation, a car that dared to think differently in a world obsessed with excess. It may not have saved its maker, but it proved that greatness isn't measured by size or sales, it's measured by vision. The Lark wasn't a failure. It was a final stand, the last brave heartbeat of an American dream that refused to fade quietly. Number 6, 1974 Mazda RX-4. By 1974, the world was changing fast. Gas prices were climbing, emissions laws were tightening, and the muscle car dream was starting to fade. But across the Pacific, in Japan, Mazda was crafting something different. A car that didn't rely on big displacement or brute force, but on engineering artistry. Its name was the Mazda RX-4, and under its sleek body lived one of the most fascinating engines ever built, the rotary. The RX-4 arrived as part of Mazda's bold experiment with the Wankel rotary engine, a design that replaced pistons with a spinning triangle inside a chamber of pure innovation. The result? Smooth, high-revving power, and a sound unlike anything else on the road. Its 1.3-liter twin-rotor engine may have sounded small, but it delivered the kind of performance that embarrassed much larger engines of the era. Wrapped in elegant lines and chrome details, the RX-4 was both sporty and refined, a car that could cruise downtown streets or sprint across highways with equal grace. It was available as a coupe, sedan, and even a wagon, appealing to drivers who wanted excitement without compromise. But fate, once again, was cruel. The oil crisis hit just as the RX-4 arrived, and the rotary engine's thirst for fuel suddenly made it a villain in the eyes of consumers. Mazda's masterpiece was misunderstood, a victim of timing, not talent. While other cars grew quieter, slower, and more economical, the RX-4 was left behind, its song fading beneath the hum of practicality. Yet today, among enthusiasts, the RX-4 is remembered not for its fall, but for its spirit, a mechanical symphony of innovation and passion. It stood as proof that Mazda dared to dream differently, to chase smoothness where others chased power. And though time buried its name, the RX-4 remains a whisper of rebellion, a forgotten roar that still echoes in every rotary engine that came after. Number 7, 1969, Fiat 124, Sport Coupe. In 1969, Italy was overflowing with automotive passion. Ferrari ruled the racetrack, Lamborghini conquered the posters, and Alfa Romeo captured the hearts of enthusiasts. Yet quietly, beneath that sea of legends, Fiat built a car that deserved its own spotlight. The Fiat 124 Sport Coupe. It wasn't flashy like a supercar, but it carried something more meaningful, accessible beauty. The 124 Sport Coupe was designed for the dreamers who couldn't afford a Ferrari, but still wanted a taste of Italian elegance. Its lines were clean, confident, and perfectly proportioned, drawn not for excess, but for emotion. Beneath the hood sat a 1.6-liter twin-cam engine, designed by the legendary Aurelio Lampredi, a man who once built engines for Ferrari's Formula One cars. The result? Smooth revs, sharp response, and a melody that only an Italian motor could sing. Unlike many sports cars of its time, the Fiat 124 Coupe wasn't temperamental or impractical. It offered comfort, reliability, and a level of sophistication that made it just as suitable for a coastal drive as for a winding mountain road. Its handling was light and precise, the gearbox crisp, and its soul pure enthusiasm. Yet the world never paid attention. Overshadowed by the glamour of high-end Italian exotics, the 124 Coupe quietly faded from view. Even as it achieved success in rally competitions, its achievements were rarely celebrated beyond Europe. But time has a way of restoring balance. Today, collectors see the 124 Sport Coupe for what it truly was, a gem of understated perfection. It embodied the spirit of Italian motoring without the arrogance, a reminder that beauty doesn't always need to shout. Sometimes, it just hums softly through a twin-cam engine, waiting for someone who truly listens. Number 8, 1972, Triumph Stag. By 1972, British motoring still carried a kind of royal charm. Jaguar purred with sophistication, Aston Martin exuded power, and MG captured the hearts of everyday drivers. But then came a car that promised to combine all those virtues, style, luxury, and performance, into one elegant machine. That car was the Triumph Stag, a name that still makes enthusiasts sigh, not out of disappointment, but heartbreak. The Stag was beautiful, almost impossibly so. Designed by the legendary Giovanni Michelotti, it wore its lines like a tailored suit, crisp, confident, and unmistakably British. The chrome detailing glistened like fine jewelry. The proportions were perfect, and the removable T-bar roof gave it a unique balance between coupe and convertible. Inside, wood veneer met soft leather, offering drivers the illusion of a Grand Tourer at half the price of an Aston. Under the hood, Triumph installed its own 3.0-liter V8, an engine designed to sound as good as it looked. On paper, the Stag had everything: a distinctive exhaust note, smooth ride, and continental grace. But reality had other plans. Poor cooling systems, unreliable gaskets, and rushed engineering turned the dream into a nightmare. Engines overheated, parts failed, and reputations crumbled. The Stag's story became one of unfulfilled promise, a masterpiece sabotaged by its own flaws. While it could have been Britain's answer to the Mercedes SL, it instead became a cautionary tale of what happens when beauty moves faster than reliability. Yet today, with modern restorations and care, the Triumph Stag has found redemption. Its design remains timeless, its sound still intoxicating, and its presence undeniably grand. The Stag never truly failed. It simply arrived in a world that wasn't ready for its kind of grace. It stands today as a fallen monarch of motoring, a reminder that even broken dreams can still be beautiful. Number 9, 1981, Datsun 280Z Turbo. By 1981, the golden age of muscle was fading. The wild horsepower of the 60s had given way to tighter emissions, stricter regulations, and quieter streets. But Datsun, soon to be known as Nissan, wasn't ready to surrender its crown. Instead of building another raw sports car, they built something more refined, more mature, yet no less thrilling. The result was the 1981 Datsun 280Z Turbo, a car that blended performance with polish in a way the world didn't expect. The original 240Z had been a rebel, lightweight, affordable, and fast. It captured hearts worldwide. But by the early 80s, Datsun wanted to prove it could evolve beyond its youthful reputation. The 280ZX Turbo was its answer. A sports grand tour that didn't just race, it traveled in style. Under the hood lay a 2.8-litre inline-six with a turbocharger that delivered 200 horsepower, a serious number for its time. When the turbo spooled up, it transformed from calm cruiser to highway predator in seconds. Inside, the car was plush, digital gauges, power accessories, and leather-wrapped luxury. It wasn't about burning rubber at every light. It was about commanding the road with quiet confidence. Some critics accused it of being too soft, but they missed the point. The 280ZX Turbo wasn't chasing the past. It was defining a new future, where speed met sophistication. Still, its legacy was overshadowed by the raw purity of the 240Z before it and the modern brilliance of the 300ZX that followed. The 280ZX sat quietly between eras, never truly celebrated for its role in bridging them. But today, collectors and purists are rediscovering its charm. The balance of comfort and capability, the unmistakable turbo whistle, the elegance of a forgotten champion. The 1981 Datsun 280ZX Turbo may not have been loud, but it was proud, a gentleman racer that proved maturity can still move fast. Number 10, 1966, Citroën DS21 Pallas. 1966. The world's roads were ruled by chrome and noise. Mustangs, GTOs, and Chargers thundered across America, while Europe's sports cars danced with precision and flair. And then, there was something entirely different. Floating silently over French cobblestones, its body curved like sculpture, its ride smoother than silk, the Citroën DS21 Pallas. A car so advanced, so strange, it felt like it had driven straight out of the future. The DS had debuted a decade earlier, but by the time the DS21 Pallas arrived, it had evolved into something almost mythical. It wasn't just a car, it was an experience. Its hydropneumatic suspension allowed it to glide over rough roads as if they didn't exist. The body automatically leveled itself. When parked, it gracefully lowered to rest, then rose elegantly when started, like a mechanical creature awakening. Power came from a 2.1-litre inline-4 engine, modest on paper, but transformed by engineering genius. With disc brakes, variable ride height, and steering that felt otherworldly, the DS21 offered comfort and control that no car of its era could match. Even its design defied convention, aerodynamic, poetic, and alien to traditional luxury. But for many, it was simply too different. Americans saw it as strange. Even some Europeans didn't understand it. It lacked the roar of a V8, the glamour of a Ferrari, the prestige of a Mercedes. The DS wasn't made to impress the masses. It was built for thinkers, architects, and visionaries. The Citroën DS21 Pallas never basked in spotlight glory. Instead, it redefined what comfort and innovation could mean, quietly influencing generations of engineers who would later borrow its genius. Today it stands not as a relic, but as a revelation, a car that reminds us that true brilliance doesn't always scream for attention. Sometimes it whispers from the future, waiting for the world to finally understand. Some cars never got the fame they deserved, but their stories still echo through time. These weren't failures, they were forgotten legends. If you love discovering cars that history left behind, like this video, Share your favorite hidden gem in the comments, and subscribe to Regal Rides, where every forgotten engine finds its voice again.